Hi, I'm Pat Shannan. American Free Press has asked me to take a few minutes and tell you a little bit about my new book, Everything They Ever Told Me Was a Lie. Of course, the everything part is a slight exaggeration, as I mentioned in the early pages of the text, but not nearly as much as you might think. My history with fighting political lies goes back to about 1964. Shortly after the Kennedy assassination, I read a book called Who Killed Kennedy by Thomas Buchanan. I'd never heard of the man before. I've never heard of him since. I don't know if he ever did any other work. But he certainly got my attention, and he had a lot of questions about that, and it was enough to intrigue me. And the following September of '64, the Warren Omission report came out, and then I was hooked forever. I today probably have one of the largest private collections on the JFK assassination in my library. It's almost anybody around the world probably. But I've just always been fascinated by that sort of thing. And then we had the Martin Luther King assassination come along in April of '68, and just 2 months later, Bobby Kennedy. And all these things were gripping on me. And the more I delved into it, the more I saw the stories that we were getting, the accepted stories from the mainstream media, and of course, the White House and the CIA and the FBI were very, very distorted. And it seemed that every case then that came along, I could immediately see some of the discrepancies in it. And this was my avocation for about 20 years. And it wasn't until 1983, with the advent of a case that many people have forgotten by now, that of Gordon Call in February of 1983 in North Dakota, when he was literally rubbed out, killed, murdered by United States Marshals operating with impunity under the law. And of course, at first when he was attacked in February, he turned the tables on them, and he wasn't taken out until 3 months later, when they slipped up behind him and shot him in the back of the head, and then concocted all kinds of other stories about shootouts. So that was the first one that I really investigated on the scene, eye to eye, interviewing neighbors and learning exactly more about how a government cover-up works than I ever had before. And of course, then came along the Weaver situation in Idaho and Waco in Texas, and the Oklahoma City bombing, which I was on the scene for all those. And the more that happened, the more intrigued, I should say, I became with the situation of government lies, cover-ups, and this became the basis of my book. And I spent 4 years amassing information on various cases. I really had no idea how long my book would be, and as it turned out, when I mailed in the manuscript to American Free Press, it turned out to be about twice as much as they needed. So we decided to cut it in half and do a volume 2, which we hope to get out early next year. And those are pretty much the basics of what the book is about. And I guess to learn the particulars, you're going to have to get a copy of American Free Press and, of course, order a copy of the book.